Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa and internet world. Well, man, this is the Joe Gaither Show right here on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com. You're watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. You're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon. I'm Joe Gaither. You can follow me at Joe Gaither Stick. We are BamaCentral. Follow us at BamaCentral on the Twitter machine. And we are riding back from Nashville. What a day it was. SEC Media Days up in Nashville. Alabama up in front of the podium. Alabama taking all the attention. Nick Saban, J.C. Latham, Kool-Aid, McKinstry, and Dallas Turner all showing up looking great. And we had a lot of fun with BamaCentral. Our friends Austin Hannon, Katie Wyndham, and Blake Byler also on the coverage. So make sure you're following them as well for all their great work. We got really a lot of time with a lot of fun people. So what we're going to do on the show today, I compiled, six or seven interviews. And what it will be, we will just kind of cut away to each of those little interviews. Very, very thankful for Alabama's sports information directors. Give me a little bit of time with each of the players, and we'll kind of talk about what Nick Saban said, if anything at all. And then we'll just kind of wrap it up and talk about SEC Media Days. We're now, 45 days away from Alabama kicking off against MTSU. And there was a lot of talk, or they tried to get Alabama players to talk about Texas, Tennessee, and LSU. But Kool-Aid, McKinstry, J.C. Latham, and Dallas Turner would not be deterred, focused on fall camp, focused on baking the cake, getting ready for the season per Nick Saban. So we're going to start with Kool-Aid McKinstry. So this is a little cutaway. You will hear Kool-Aid McKinstry. Check out his chain. Check out really his great personality, his blue jacket. Kool-Aid talking about Caleb Downs, talking about great receivers that have challenged him and really prepared him for this upcoming season. So here's our interview with Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Kool-Aid, Joe Gaither, how are you? BamaCentral.com. Here we go, BamaCentral.com. I'm here with Kool-Aid McKinstry, Alabama cornerback. Kool-Aid, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, and you?
Very, very good. Great to see you. Kool-Aid, you're now the leader in the secondary. How have you embraced the leadership role in the Alabama secondary?
I embraced the role very well. I've been around guys like Jordan Battle, DeMarco Hellis, and watched how those guys led us. So I'm pretty sure I have a good idea on that.
Absolutely. Kool-Aid, a lot of people were first introduced to you in your first day with Coach Saban on a hot mic yelling at you about running off the field. How has your relationship with Coach Saban developed since then, and what is that relationship like?
I feel like I have a great relationship with Coach Saban. We talk a lot about things that I feel like I need to know. I've learned a lot from Coach, and I'm very thankful to have him as my coach.
Coach, Kool-Aid, you've been basically a lockdown corner in the SEC. So how are the Alabama wide receivers coming along as you go up against them in practice?
I want to thank those guys for making me the player I am. Without them, I feel like I wouldn't be who I am. And I'm pretty sure that those guys are thankful for me.
Kool-Aid, if you after that, Nick Saban is basically on a streak of every 3 years winning a national championship. Do you feel pressure to hold up that standard this season?
Well, I feel like you said, we're going to get to the standard and we reach the goals that we have set.
What have you learned from last year's secondary or last year's defense, where you lost 2 games to LSU and Tennessee?
Well, I can focus on learning mistakes from last year and learning from those mistakes from last year and getting those mistakes taken care of so we can be better defense.
All right, now we're on camera. The necklace is beautiful. Tell us about the jewelry. I love it.
Well, me and my jeweler Leo, we got together and came up with this piece.
I love it. Kool-Aid, what's been your most favorite part about taking part in NIL since the 3 years that you've been? Have you had anything interesting, a commercial or anything that you've really enjoyed doing, or sponsorship that you really enjoyed doing?
Yes, I really enjoyed doing the deal with Kool-Aid just because it's my name and it just makes sense to me. Anything that I do.
I love it as well. Kool-Aid, thank you so much for your time. We look forward to the season. You can ball out. I can't wait. Kool-Aid McKinstry, BamaCentral.com, Alabama quarterback. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Alex.
Our conversation with Kool-Aid McKinstry. Really appreciate a couple of minutes that we had with Kool-Aid, that beautiful necklace that he had highlighting his jeweler's work. And we got to catch up with the Trench King, J.C. Latham. J.C. also having a competitive neck piece. J.C. joins us to talk about asserting himself on the offensive line, establishing the Alabama dominance, and really trying to pave the way for the Alabama offense. So here's our conversation with J.C. Latham, Alabama tackle, likely the leader on the Alabama offensive line.
I'll just edit it from there. Joe Gaither with BamaCentral.com at SEC Media Days with JC Latham, Alabama tackle. JC, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, man. Really excited for today.
Absolutely. JC, you guys are walking into a pretty impactful 2023, and you're going to be the leader on the offensive line. How have you stepped up and embraced the leadership role?
First off, it wasn't really hard to do because I got guys around me like Tyler Booker, Darren Dalcourt, Seth Ferg. Everybody was taking it as a group. O-line isn't made around one person. It's 5 guys trying to be one. So understanding that, that's the mentality that we have to have. I think we'll have a really great group, and I think we're going to be great when that's over.
Absolutely. You and Tyler Booker are high school teammates. How does that chemistry carry over to the University of Alabama?
Yeah, I mean, we got history, man. I've been knowing him since he was a freshman. I was a sophomore. Now I'm a junior in college, and he's a sophomore in college. So we've been through a lot. We've been through a lot of ups. We've been through a lot of downs. So just understanding the culture that we had at IMG my first year when we lost against St. Francis, and then the next year when we went undefeated, understanding like those 2 seasons, how they were different, how we were great, and what we need to do. We're kind of trying to take that culture and like bring it here and just do what we have to do this season and do what we have to do throughout the off-season workouts and practices and whatever it may be, so we can be great.
The second year of offensive line coach Eric Wolford, how do you think the second year has really stepped up in his teaching, or what have you learned from him after 2 years?
We learned a lot, man. He has so many great things that he can teach us, and so many great technique and understanding defenses. Like every single day, it's just honestly, it's a blessing to just be able to be coached by him, because he just goes into depth and he cares about it so much. So we all know anything that he says, whether it's harsh or not, just know it's coming from a good heart, because me or some freshman who just got here, he's going to yell at you all the same. So just hearing a guy like that coach, keeps the passion behind it, you know you're going to get a great coach out of him.
Obviously a lot of attention on the quarterback battle. How do you maintain your focus and keep focus on what you guys need to do?
We all compete. It's competing at the end of the day. That's what makes Alabama. You got guys who can play, guys who can come in and play as a freshman, and you got guys who are willing to compete. So it wouldn't be Alabama if it wasn't competing. So I just understand that I'm competing for my spot. I'm not guaranteed anything, so I'm going to worry about me, and then whatever happens, happens.
Alabama tackle JC Latham right here with BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. JC, thank you so much for your time. Have a great day. Yes, sir. Thank you, Stephen.
All right, welcome back. That was JC Latham. Just a couple of minutes with JC Latham right there outside of the media rooms at SEC Media Days. A little funny piece while Kool-Aid McKinstry was having his breakout room. You'll be able to see some of the video on BamaCentral's YouTube page. We put it up. JC Latham stepped into his media availability and asked Kool-Aid McKinstry if he could even cover JC Latham. JC actually, maybe it sounded like bidding for a snap or 2 at receiver this fall. I think Coach Saban will rebuff his bid. You got to keep it at tackle. You got to keep the new quarterback upright. None of the players would commit on the quarterback. They all talked about focusing on their own jobs, preparing for their own seasons, and focusing on the task at hand, leaving that up to head coach Nick Saban. We're actually going to turn away to Dallas Turner, who, interestingly enough, claimed to be the best defensive player in the SEC this year. When we asked Kool-Aid McKinstry if he disagreed, Kool-Aid said, no, he is the best player, and my job is dependent on Dallas Turner and his pass rush. You have to have Dallas and Kool-Aid. It's going to be very interesting to see those 2 guys step into the and Jordan battle. So here's Dallas Turner, very, very confident, claiming to be the best defensive player in the SEC this coming season.
Absolutely. I'm very appreciative. Thank you.
No problem.
Dallas, Joe Gaither. Yes, sir. Nice to meet you. Joe Gaither with BamaCentral.com. I'm here at SEC Media Days with defensive end, outside linebacker Dallas Turner. Dallas, how's your day going so far?
The day been going very good, talking to a lot of new people, just having fun.
Dallas, earlier you claimed to be the best defensive player in the SEC, and Kool-Aid didn't even argue. What does it feel like to have the support of your teammates in that fashion?
It's always good to have a good teammate like Kool-Aid. He's a very good corner, the best corner in the SEC, in my opinion. But it's very good to have guys like that in your corner, supporting you. It's vice versa.
A lot of attention was given to Will Anderson, and now he's moved on to the NFL, so that the attention is given to you. What does it mean to you to step into that leadership role, and how have you really embraced that?
I've been embracing it very well. I've been leading all my life, since I was 5 years old. But Will just passed the torch on, just showed the way. So how to be a leader, how to lead in the right direction.
Talk about Kevin Steele, new defensive coordinator. What kind of mindset and attitude has he brought to the defensive side of football?
Kevin Steele, he brought back the standard. He's trying to bring back the standard. He is going to bring back the standard.
But he's bringing a lot of good things. But he's been there. He has the experience at the University of Alabama. He knows the expectations that Coach Saban has for the defense. And he knows it's going to be a lot of good things.
Unfortunately, Alabama losing to Tennessee and LSU last season. What have you learned, or what have you emphasized with your teammates over the last 12 months from those losses?
I mean, the emphasis has really been on finishing in the fourth quarter. Just finishing out games strong. Just going all the way out, especially in the way we
J.C. Latham wearing a TK Trench King chain. Is he the Trench King? How difficult is he as a matchup to go up in practice?
I mean, since I drop a lot and, I do a lot of things off the ball, I guess he's the Trench King. But, JC is a very good player. It's a battle between me and him every day. That's going to be the guy that is going to be iron, sharp iron every day. It's going to be a tough battle every day.
Outside linebacker, edge rusher, Dallas Turner, the best defensive player in the SEC. Dallas, have a great rest of your SEC.
Thank you
for your time. Yes, sir. Thank you, Aaron.
We had a lot of fun at SEC Media Days this morning talking to J.C. Latham, Dallas Turner, and Kool-Aid McKinstry. I want to remind you can read all about it on BamaCentral.com. Make sure you're reading all of our great work. Katie Wyndham, Chris Walsh, Blake Byler, and Austin Hannon really doing a great job on the written side of things for BamaCentral.com. You will not miss any coverage if you just type in BamaCentral.com. So we didn't just talk to the Alabama football players. There were several other media characters that we ran into. I spent a little bit of time with Crimson Tide Sports Network's Roger Hoover. Great to catch up with Roger, talking about the expectations for the upcoming season, but really to get a little update on Eli Gold. So here's a little quick conversation with Roger Hoover, talking about the upcoming season, the quarterback battle ahead, the defense, the expectations, and of course, our friend Eli Gold.
Perfect. Joe Gaither with BamaCentral.com. I'm here at SEC Media Days with Crimson Tide Sports Network's Roger Hoover. Roger, how's your day going so far?
It's going really well. A bit of an early start, making the drive from Birmingham to Nashville, but glad that SEC Media Days are here because that means football is just around the corner, and we like that in Alabama.
Coach Saban talked about baking a cake with the quarterbacks. Are you made my mouth water? I hope I want to get one of those Grandma Saban cakes. How long do you think it will take for Coach Saban to determine a starting quarterback this season?
I think right up until kickoff in Middle Tennessee, and I wouldn't be surprised if even in some of the pregame warm-ups, it may look a little different in warm-ups than it does once we finally start playing football against the Blue Raiders. So I think that cake analogy was so good because he talked about if you pull out the cake too soon, it becomes mushy. It's not what it's supposed to be. You have to allow it to have its time, and he made a great point as well when he said, we don't have to name a starter right now. There's no good that comes from it really at this point. So it sounds like the competition is really heating up. I think he also talks about how the transfer portal, you go after players that hopefully will play for your football team. So that may be some good news concerning Tyler Buckner, but we'll see. I mean, there are three really good quarterbacks all competing there, plus two really talented freshmen as well that I don't think anyone needs to forget about.
Alabama bringing J.C. Latham, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Dallas Turner to media days. What does those selections tell you about the leadership or the future of this team?
I think you said it perfectly, leadership. And I think Coach Saban always targets guys that are on the leadership council and that represent a variety of different positions. And maybe they don't have some of the star power names that we saw last year with Bryce Young and Will Anderson Jr. at this event, but we know these are some of the best players in the SEC. J.C. Latham was just asked a moment ago, all right, who's the best defensive player in the SEC? Is it Dallas Turner? He goes, it may also be Kool-Aid McKinstry. So I think that really sounds good to hear if you're an Alabama fan, knowing that there's a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. There's some really good leaders, and those guys have been terrific. We're only probably about midway through their car wash of all the different interviews they have to have. They're still smiling. They're still having a lot of fun. I just saw J.C. Latham kind of shout some questions to Kool-Aid in the main room just a moment ago. They had a blast with it, and it's really cool to get to see that.
Yeah, J.C. saying he could catch some receiving yards on Kool-Aid McKinstry. How do we think that practice matchup might go? Obviously not serious.
No, I'd love to see it. It'd be a lot of fun.
And then Kool-Aid's talked a lot about Caleb Downs already today. A lot of attention on the five-star five-star safety from Georgia. What do we expect? Are we going to see another Minka Fitzpatrick in the secondary?
Well, he's got to go out and prove it, and that's the good thing if you're an Alabama fan. If that kind of buzz is already surrounding him, that is usually a good indicator of what could happen. But we got to see it first of all in practice, because spring practice you are able to make some strides, you are able to improve, but it's different in fall camp. It's different with game week prep and then making an impact in the game game as we've seen in recent years. So it sounds good that he has a lot of buzz right now, but I think now's the time for him to just focus on his game. But I love what we've heard about him so far.
Absolutely. The last thing for me is Alabama's got 2 new coordinators, Tommy Rees and Kevin Steele. Obviously, that a transition. How do you expect the offense and defense to look ready for week 1?
Well, it's exciting on both sides of the ball. Starting with defense, I think getting back to that Alabama standard of tough physical defense. Kevin Steele knows what it looks like, not only at Alabama, but all the different stops he's had all throughout the Southeastern Conference. I mean, he's about as highly respected as any coach, any assistant coach in this league. Very easily could have been a head coach at some different spots through the years. So we're really excited to have him as part of the Crimson Tide. And then Tommy Rees, I think the word Coach Saban says over and over again is bright. He is such a bright young guy, full of energy, full of good ideas, and now he gets to marry that with all the talent that Alabama has. I think that makes it really exciting to see what he can do with this offense. Who knows if we'll learn much game 1 against Middle Tennessee, but Texas game to get a win, I think you're going to see a lot of good things.
Roger Hoover with Crimson Tide Sports Network. Tell everybody about Crimson Drive and how they can follow and listen to the Tide this season.
Well, I appreciate it. I think we're just after your time slot, so we go at 2 p.m. Central on Thursdays and then Tuesdays and Thursdays during, of course, the football season. Full recaps, previews of all the games coming up, a lot of interviews just like this with members of the media, so we try to have you covered there. And then, of course, the game broadcast is coming back soon. We're getting ready for 3 hours of coverage before, and then by the time everything's said and done, we have 8 hours of coverage for fans on game day, nearly 100 affiliates across the state, across the Southeast, and now the Varsity Network app. We're excited to bring Crimson Tide football to all of you once again.
Would be remiss. I cannot wait to have Eli Gold back in the booth this season.
Yeah, we're really excited for that. I had lunch with him a couple weeks ago. He looks great. He sounds great. We're really excited for what's coming up for him.
Well, we're really excited to follow the Tide, and really I'll be dialed in listening in the press box because you guys give us the best perspective and give us the inside knowledge. I really appreciate your time, and enjoy the rest of SEC Media Day.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Congrats on the new show. Look forward to following up with it, and hopefully we can do this again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yes, sir. Well, that's great. Thank you.
There he was, Roger Hoover of Crimson Tide Sports Network. You hear him each and every Saturday, pre- and post-game coverage, big-time part of the broadcast, all things Alabama football, basketball, baseball related. Roger Hoover does it all for Crimson Tide Sports Network, and I appreciate him giving me a couple of minutes. And great news on Eli Gold. Looking forward to hearing him back in the booth. The dulcet tones of touchdown Alabama. We cannot wait to hear Roger, Eli, and Chris Stewart bring us another football season. John Parker Wilson as well. We've had a great time at SEC Media Days. Thanks to everyone hosting us and making us feel welcome. Caught up with a couple of my friends. My friend Michael Bronner, friend of the program, one of our first guests on the new show. Michael works for WNSP, and Michael and I disagree on who's the quarterback will be, but I think we both have high expectations for this Alabama football season. This is Michael Bronner from WNSP giving you the taste and the feel from Mobile.
I'll cut it, clip it nice and close. Do that so I don't kick that coffee over. All right. Welcome back to SEC Media Days. I'm Joe Gaither right here with BamaCentral.com, hanging out with Michael Bronner for WNSP down in Mobile. Michael, how's your SEC Media Days been?
It's going well, Joe. We've missed you all week. You know, we needed you for the past 2 days. It's been crazy. It's been a long week. First SEC Media Days I've done, but it's been a good experience. I've enjoyed it.
What has been the one standout thing that you've experienced at SEC Media Days so far through 3 days?
JC Latham is pretty tall. I would say that was the biggest thing so far. I mean, we got to hear Nick Saban speak to Kirby Smart. Got a question to Kirby Smart yesterday. That was pretty cool.
Did he lie to you?
You know, I asked him really, you know, obviously they're building a recruiting machine, you know, and his message was, you know, rooting out the complacency. He's on it, you know, he likes, it's funny because Kirby Smart is kind of saying, you know, everyone asked him, comparing him to Alabama, Of course, he doesn't want to hear that, but, you know, that's going to be the comparison. It is the only thing you can compare it to. So, you know, instead of saying, no, we're nothing like Alabama, we're Georgia, you know, he talks about rooting out the threat of complacency, which, you know, sounds like it's from the mind of Nick Saban. And so, you know, I kind of asked him something along the lines of how you do that in recruiting, you know, bringing in quality players like that. And he just said something like, oh, you teach the guys and, you know, let them know that your time is going to come. So pretty basic answer from Kirby about what I expected there.
All right, better jewelry, J.C. Latham or Kool-Aid McKinstry? You see both their neck pieces?
I like what Kool-Aid or what JC had going on his collar, and JC's wearing sunglasses too. I think, although Kool-Aid has the better jacket on,
yes.
So I think Kool-Aid. I give Kool-Aid the slight drip nod for the day. But we'll see what happens because we still got Cedric Johnson, Quinshon Judkins, Mullins. We'll see what Lane Kiffin is wearing tomorrow too. Nick Saban looked nice as always. But he's going to show up in his gray suit and his red tie. What else would you expect? But I'm giving Kool-Aid Jacket of the Week so far.
Talking to Michael Bronner of WNSP down in Mobile. So what has been the feeling in South Alabama about the quarterbacks? 3 quarterbacks in the competition, maybe even 5. What's the colors, the Mobile feel about the quarterback competition?
Well, it's funny you say maybe even 5 because when Saban took the podium today, he if you want to say he revealed one thing, he said we have 3 guys battling it out. So, those hoping that Eli Holstein or Dylan Lonergan is going to be starting week 1 are in tears a little bit. I will say he didn't in either press conference. He didn't name the 3 guys by name. Maybe Tyler Buckner. Maybe it's Eli Holstein instead of Tyler Buckner though. But really, it is those 3 guys, and the 2 freshmen don't really have a chance. So it really it just depends on the day. It depends who you ask, and it depends on the day. I think people are excited about the potential Milroe brings to the offense if he can throw a ball more accurately than he did against Texas A&M and in the second half of the Arkansas game. I think people are high on Ty Simpson. I think the idea of Ty Simpson, if Ty Simpson can be what people want him to be, the idea of Ty Simpson's it's pretty awesome. And then Tyler Buckner is he's almost the forgotten one because wasn't very good at Notre Dame, but Tommy Rees obviously saw something in him and wanted to bring him in. So it really just depends on the day who you think is going to start. I'm going with Ty Simpson right now. I'm still, as we sit here on
I love
July
it. Take
20,
a stand.
Yeah, I'm saying Ty Simpson right now. That could change again tomorrow, so we'll see.
I may disagree with you, but I love taking a stand.
You going with Milroe for now?
I'm going with Milroe for now. I think he presents a lot of great options as an offense. If he can operate in the offense, he's going to be a very dangerous weapon. And I really would love to see a Lamar Jackson type quarterback wearing crimson and white.
Derrick Henry with an arm.
Woo! Yes, sir. So the defensive side of the football, you bring in Dallas Turner, you bring in Kool-Aid McKinstry, 2 SEC media days, and Kool-Aid said no, Dallas is the best defensive player in the SEC.
Oh, they're not battling.
They're not battling it out. Dallas claimed it for himself, and Kool-Aid conceded the crown.
He gave it to him. Oh man, that's a red flag.
No. How do you expect the Alabama defense to perform under year 1 with Kevin Steele?
It's got to be better. It was so disappointing last season because, I think on paper before the season we were saying this could be the best defense Nick Saban's ever had. Obviously that didn't happen in the 2 games they lost. It wasn't because of Bryce Young. It wasn't because of the offense. It was because we couldn't make a stop in key moments. The Tennessee game is a better example of that, and DeMarco Hellams is still chasing down Jalen Hyatt, but it probably sees him and his nightmares still. But that being said, it's you bring in Kevin Steele and you hope you can get back to playing, a 2015 style of defense. We'll see if that can happen. You lose a couple guys, namely Will Anderson, but I'm pretty confident about what the defense is going to be this season. I think Caleb Downs is going to play a role early. I'm excited to get Malachi Moore back. I'm excited about the secondary more so than anything. The front 7, they'll figure it out on the front 7. I think Kevin Steele is going to be huge for that. I think the talent level increases in the secondary. I think Terry Arnold's going to continue to develop opposite of Kool-Aid and McKinstry.
That's my guy.
And then you get Caleb Downs and give Malachi Moore, the career arc of Malachi Moore, the up and down and up and down. I think this is the year of Malachi Moore, and maybe he can give Caleb Downs a little bit of tutelage. And I'm excited about this defense. I think they're getting back to Alabama type defense.
Oh, very excited. Well, Michael, I appreciate it. Tell everybody about WNSP in Mobile, where they can listen to all your coverage covering Alabama, Auburn, really all things SEC in Mobile.
Yeah, appreciate it. If you guys are driving through Mobile, you can tune in at 105.5. In the unlikely event of that, you can download the Sound of Mobile app. Corey LeBounty and I do 3 to 6 every day, so the Sound of Mobile app is where you can find us. You can also find us on Twitter, 105.5 WNSP, or me on Twitter at mbronner.WNSP.
Last thing, if Nick Saban does not win a national championship this year, it'll be the first class he sends off to the NFL without a title. The pressure for Alabama, will he maintain the standard of every 3 years winning a national championship, sending every recruiting class out with a ring?
I guess he's got to win a national championship this year. It's almost like the trendy pick is you're going against the grain if you say, Alabama's going to go undefeated this year. So, I think Alabama's going to surprise some people this year. I don't think they're going to be this 3-loss team that people are forecasting. I think whoever the quarterback is going to figure it out because I think they get better everywhere but the quarterback position. They just need decent quarterback play, and I think they have a good chance.
Michael Bronner, WNSP. Thanks for your time, brother.
Thanks, Jeff.
Absolutely.
Will it be Ty Simpson? Will it be Jalen Milroe or Tyler Buckner? Coach Saban confirming at least that it is a 3-horse race, but not naming any of the 3 players. Could Eli Holstein or Dylan Lottigan be one of those sneaky dark horses? We'll see. We actually caught up with former Alabama wide receiver Mac Hereford. Mac was on our program about 3 or 4 weeks ago talking all things wide receivers and catching up with Mac Hereford. We got a little bit of time with him at SEC Media Days. He talked about missing SEC Media Days as a player, never going as a player, kind of getting that experience this year in the media zone. Mac Hereford really setting up the expectations, and you'll catch him funnily during this interview. He said, I'm caught up in my Sabanisms. I'm in my player speak, and it took him a little bit of time to break character. Funny how Saban programs the Alabama football players. Even years later, Mac Hereford still espousing the Alabama process, still touting the Alabama process, and Nick Saban for his for the way he goes about things day to day. So this is our conversation with former Alabama wide receiver Mac Hereford.
Sounds perfect. No problem. Yes, sir. Welcome to SEC Media Days. I'm Joe Gaither with BamaCentral.com. I'm hanging out with Mac Hereford, former Alabama wide receiver. Mac, how's your morning going? SEC Media Days.
It's going great. This is hectic. I never did Media Days as a player. Always wanted to. Never got the chance to. Obviously, got to put up some numbers, put up some stats. But, it's been fun getting to see it from this angle and this perspective and seeing these guys talk. It's cool. It's a cool thing.
Coach Saban earlier in the media rooms alluded to the quarterback analogy or the quarterback battle as in baking a cake, talking about his grandmother baking a cake. You gotta let it sit, let it take its process. One, have you ever had Miss Grandma Saban's cooking? And 2, how long do you think the process will play out for the Alabama quarterback battle?
I've never had Grandma Saban's cooking, but I love the analogy. I've heard that one from Coach Saban before. He's always got some good stories. Spreading all that knowledge, but I think it's going to take some time. I think it's going to, settle. I think when he's ready to announce, that he'll announce it. And I also think he can use it to his advantage. We keep other teams guessing to the last minute, keep them thinking, what are we going to do? And then they don't even know as soon as the players know. I feel like we find out at the same time as the media. So.
Well, one of the things he mentioned that I thought was a little surprising, he didn't want to go to Italy on vacation, but he reluctantly went, said it was a fun time. Just the focus and drive, Coach Saban not even wanting to go to Europe and experience culture, wants to do football, just the way he's wired and just what that means to you.
Yeah, look, I'm thankful. I'm grateful for him that he went to Italy and got a little bit of vacation, but look, everyone knows Coach Saban is a workhorse. He talks about the 24-hour rule, 48-hour rule. I think that's bad. I'm botching it, but it's one or the other. After we win the national championship of the year that we did, when I was there, it was like 48 hours, 24 hours, however long it was, and then it was back to work. So he's a workhorse. That's how Coach Saban is, and it's kind of cool because he works as hard as he wants his players to work, and that's what a good coach does.
A little interesting, Alabama, no quarterback, no leader. Like the leaders are J.C. Latham, Kool-Aid, McKinstry, and Dallas Turner. What do those selections tell you about the future of this team?
Yeah, I think you look at all the other SEC teams that came out here this week or coming out, a lot of them didn't have a quarterback here. A lot of people are saying there's no quarterbacks. So I think it's interesting. It's kind of cool to see sometime when a team is led by either defensive players, and you got JC's on the offensive line, so you got an offensive lineman. It's kind of guys that you wouldn't regularly see leading the team, and I like that a lot. Because it's always the quarterback's always the guy who's vocal. And I think when we do have that guy come out, the starting quarterback, we're going to see a vocal leader. But right now, it's kind of cool to see these guys who, different positions all around the team, getting a chance to lead and getting a chance to be out there and pull the team together.
LSU and Georgia garnering a lot of the attention as favorites in the East and West. What do you think that means to Alabama, or how do you think that's utilized in motivation for the upcoming season?
Well, gosh, I'm like brainwashed as a player. All I want to think about is what I would say if I was playing there right now. And the biggest thing is that it really doesn't matter. Whatever any other team comes out, what other people are saying about other teams, at the end of the day, it's Alabama, and Coach Saban is doing a great job of keeping the guys focused. And if anything, yes, he will use it as his motivation. He can make any team motivation. You could talk about the Citadel being he'll pull out some stat about them being the best defense in their conference in week 1 or something. But all that to say, yeah, we'll definitely use it as motivation. I'm not worried about it for the guys. I don't think they're worried about it either. I think they're going to play game by game, and excited to see what they do this season.
Mac, as a former player, now that you've been a little bit removed, what is your expectation for the season?
I just hope that I get to see, last year I feel like we lost a little bit of that Alabama football that we see year in and year out, which is basically, just hard mouth football, hitting hard, guys doing the right thing, and I think that this year, that's what I hope we get back to. I want to see discipline. I want to see respect. I want to see, just classic Alabama football, Nick Saban football. That's what I expect. I don't care about the numbers. I don't care about the stats. I just want to see the guys go out there and play Alabama football.
Last thing for me, you were familiar with Kevin Steele from his previous time at Alabama. How will he instill exactly what you're talking about, the hard-nosed, fundamental, really all 11 to the football aspect of the Alabama defense?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Steele has done a great job doing that in the past. He's going to do the same thing. He's been a part of the traditional Alabama that I was just talking about, the kind of guys, the kind of group that we want to see and that we missed out on last year. And I think he's going to do a great job doing that next year, or this upcoming season. So
it's Matt Hereford, former Alabama wide receiver. Matt, what else are you getting into this week to where we can follow all your media? You're all over the place.
I'll be posting some stuff for Dick's Sporting Goods coming up here soon. Some interesting stuff. I just got back from Hawaii, was in Washington, D.C. for the MLS, start of that. Have a busted eardrum, to be honest. But, yeah, stay tuned. We'll be doing some things, and I'll be at Alabama games this year and be all around and traveling some more. So never know where I'm going to be.
There we go. At Mac Hereford on TikTok, at Mac_Hereford on the Twitter machine. Follow Mac in all his adventures. Great time, and thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thanks, man.
100%. Thank you. That's fun. That's great. Good time.
Oh, yes, sir.
Now it's Alabama former wide receiver, Mac Hereford, walked on from 2016 to 2019, won a national championship playing with Mac Jones. Mac Hereford talking Alabama Crimson Tide, the future and the expectations for this upcoming season. We also caught up with Alabama historian AP Stidham. AP Stidham hosts a radio show with himself and Kelly. They're syndicated throughout the state of Alabama. This is AP Stidham. AP actually asked Coach Saban about running a 2-quarterback system. Sorry, AP, I don't know that that's going to be in the card this year, but it was, and it made for an interesting conversation. This was my moment with AP Stidham.
Thank you for your time. Oh, you're welcome, Joe. My pleasure.
Welcome back to SEC Media Days. Joe Gaither with BamaCentral.com. I'm hanging out with AP Stidham from As We See It with AP and Kelly. AP, how's your SEC Media Days going?
Oh, it's been fantastic. Yeah, this is the first time in Nashville. I like the logistics of the second floor location for the electronic media room, and everything's been very, very good so far.
You've been in the media game for a long, long time. What is something that you're really looking forward to, or what is something unique from this SEC Media Days that you've really enjoyed?
Well, I just like the fact that in the electronic media room, there's not very many people, so I get to ask questions. So I enjoy being in that room.
You already talked to Coach Nick Saban about the quarterback battle. What's your opinion of the Alabama Crimson Tide and the quarterback battle that's about to take place?
Yeah, I'm thinking that if he doesn't know for certain that there's a quarterback that stands out and grabs the lead for the team, he might have to play too. I mean, that's my opinion. I tried to get him, address that situation. I asked him about the 2 quarterback system, but he didn't really speak about that. He just said, we're working on finding out who's going to be the lead for the team.
Do you think that's a viable option for Alabama, considering the skill sets of Milroe, Buckner, and Simpson?
Yeah, I think if the head coach promotes that idea, it's a form of brainwashing.
Okay.
And they'll follow along.
What did you think about J.C. Latham and Kool-Aid McKinstry? Both of them dressed to the nines in the jewelry.
We love AP.
We love Roman Harper as well.
they look good. I asked J.C. about his jewelry, and he had TK. I'm thinking TK. I was trying to think in my mind where that trench came.
And he really is embracing the physicality. What do you think we're going to see out of the offensive line second year with Eric Wolford?
Yeah, I think they're going to be pressed this year to run the football more often because they have a host of good running backs right now. I don't know if there's any All-Americans at this point. I think Justin Haynes, Division Freshman of the Year on the offensive side, will give us all, let's say, a minimum of 150 times.
Woo! I look forward to see the running back rotation. There's a lot of talent in that room. What is your real expectations? This will be Coach Saban's first year. If he doesn't win a national championship this year, this will be the first time that he hasn't won with a recruiting class for a 3-year cycle. How much pressure do you think is on Alabama to get back to that standing?
Yeah, I think I prefaced my remarks by always telling everyone that the other team pays coaches and gives scholarships as well.
100%.
So, but Alabama, they recruited well, but they don't have the allotment of wide receivers that you projected to be number one draft choice. So that changes the situation. It's no longer the 10-yard pass, it's a 60-yard touchdown. Now it's the 10-yard pass, can we catch the football? I mean, that's the main emphasis. So, but there's always expectations in Alabama. They wouldn't want to go the other way. Coach Bryant was the same way. He didn't shy away from mentioning that word in the state national championship. So Alabama is always going to be in that position, or the folks won't be happy.
Bringing back Kevin Steele, Nick Saban's worked with Kevin Steele in the past. What do you think he's going to implement or reestablish in the Alabama defensive room?
Right. I think they're looking to put more pressure. I mean, Dallas Turner, I'm just looking at stats as a freshman. I think 80 kind of sacks. Definitely have awareness and humor as well. Like last year, and Will's production was down as well. Different coordinator, right? So maybe he keeps the outside edge rushers in those positions, doesn't move them on the inside like last year. That was kind of perplexing to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Including some coaches.
We're talking to AP Stidham. AP, just your overall thoughts on Alabama. Will they get back to that national championship, and just your overall thought on the 2023 season?
You know, there's 3 games. Texas, 1 point last year. Last year, this is a new season, but Texas had a tremendous group of wide receivers, I think. Quarterback play, they've got a couple of quarterbacks I think they can win. Tennessee has beaten Alabama first time
Absolutely.
in 14, 15 years. I mean, Joe Milton this is his 3rd year. I think he's got the maturity to come to Tuscaloosa and win that game. LSU, first year on the Brian Kelly Hall of Fame coach before he arrived. They beat Alabama. Their cycle is, we can beat Alabama. So that's 3 games. That's not including Arkansas and Ole Miss.
Correct.
So that's 3 games that Alabama, they better be ready. So that would be something after all these years in Tuscaloosa. Nick Saban has 3 home losses.
AP Stidham with AP and Kelly. AP, how can we hear AP and Stidham as we see it? I know you can hear it in Tuscaloosa on 100.9. How else can they catch up with all your great work?
Yeah, we have all the episodes that are archived. We try to put it up on our Facebook page by about 1 o'clock on Thursday Central Time, and it's heard all over the state on Thursdays, Fridays and Saturdays. We list those episodes of different stations on our Facebook pages, on our personal at AP Stidham. So check that out.
Thank you so much for your time today, AP. You've been a great influence on me, and I really appreciate everything you do.
Hey, thank you, Joe. My pleasure as always.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. That's great. Thank you for your time.
Oh, you're welcome, Joe.
That was AP Stidham from down in Mobile. AP Stidham working at syndicated radio program with As We See It. AP Alabama historian, been covering Alabama since the days of Coach Bear Bryant. Nice to catch up with AP Stidham at SEC Media Days. I tried to set up an interview or a discussion with our senior writer, Katie Wyndham. Katie Wyndham really covering Nick Saban today for BamaCentral. Here's 2 minutes with Katie Wyndham. We got cut off because we wanted to give Dallas Turner his due.
Great to see you.
I'll talk to y'all
Thank
later.
you. Thank you. Welcome back to SEC Media Days for BamaCentral. I'm Joe Gaither, hanging out with the head writer, Katie Wyndham for BamaCentral. Katie, what were your takeaways from Nick Saban? We heard from him for, 20, 25 minutes in the main media room. Said a lot. And what were your biggest takeaways?
Really, he was a little more relaxed and upbeat than I thought he may have been, with kind of the quarterback battle looming, which that is obviously the biggest question, and he addressed it in his lengthy opening statement. They're not going to announce until they're ready, and I would guess that's going to be the first game of the year, so it's going to continue to be kind of a holding pattern that we're in. But I think to me the biggest maybe positive takeaway for Alabama fans when he's talking about quarterback is that outside of that position, he thinks they're better on offense in the other areas than they were last year. Wide receiver, you're bringing back a lot of the guys. Offensive line, you're maybe not bringing back a lot of guys, but you have a ton of talent there. And then running backs, it's a deep running back room. So I think basically what he's saying is if we can get that right quarterback in the system, we're good on offense. And so I think that's an encouraging thing for Alabama fans.
Covering the Alabama program for quite a while, what does even Nick Saban's comments about not wanting to go to Italy say about his mindset of the program and his approach to football?
Yeah, he doesn't like to take breaks. I mean, most people, if your friends give you a 50th anniversary, any trip to Italy, I'd be all over that. If any of you want to get a trip to Italy, I will take a break from work and go do that. But it just shows how locked into it is.
Miss Katie, can I put a pin in you? We're going to talk to Dallas Turner just for one moment.
I'll just restart this and we'll just roll. Welcome back into the Joe Gaither Show right here on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com. You're watching on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. You're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. Oh, we got cut off a little bit by Dallas Turner, but I'm very fortunate. Our driver, Miss Katie Wyndham, we're driving Wyndham. What were some of your takeaways from Nick Saban and the SEC Media Days?
Yeah, I can't really remember all that I said earlier. Don't worry, everyone. Eyes on the road, hands on the wheel. We're tracking that. But I think he likes this team. He talked about defense. I think has 6 starters coming back, 5 that left, all went to the NFL, which means you're obviously losing some talent. But it's obviously kind of a thing in Alabama that it's not just rebuild. You're kind of reloading with the talent that's already there as well. And then offensively, I talked about this in the clip I just listened to, I think, but I thought it was interesting and encouraging that he talked about. I think he feels really confident in the positions around the quarterback, and I think he really likes Tommy Reese. I think he likes having someone so much younger than him. I think it was in the media breakout room. He was asked about the age gap between him and Tommy Reese. Tommy Reese, I think, is 31. Saban was 72 or 73. That's what Saban joked. He feels like he's still 39. But I think he likes having a young guy running the offense, bringing some new things in, someone that's younger that can relate to the players a little more, someone that played college football himself not too long ago. And so I think it's something a lot of Alabama fans are excited for, too, because there were many that were pretty notably disgruntled with Bill O'Brien. So it's not just a new quarterback. It's going to be a new offense overall. Some familiar faces, especially wide receiver, running back with Jason McClellan and Roydell. But it's going to be a new offense overall with Tommy Reese in the helm.
Kenny, do you think that Nick Saban feels pressure? Kirby Smart went yesterday at SEC Media Days and really made the comment, we're only focusing 24 hours ahead. Do you think that Coach Saban feels pressure to take Alabama back to the national championship standard as Kirby Smart has built his monster at the University of Georgia?
That's an interesting question. I don't know if Saban feels pressure. I thought, if you remember, this was his opening statement or one of his first questions when he talked about the things, some of the games and moments he remembers most or when Alabama lost. He thinks about the national championship losses. He said he thinks about the 2 losses last season. So I don't know if it's pressure or more just him not liking to lose and wanting to get back to his own personal standard, his own winning ways. And so it's, if he doesn't get Alabama to a title this year, it'll be the longest gap in his tenure, 3 years, which is wild. That's a pretty high standard, but it's the standard he set at Alabama. So I don't know if it's necessarily pressure that he feels because he's already, established himself as the greatest coach of all time, but it may be an urgency he feels to get back there.
We're having a lot of fun driving down I-65, and Katie, you're doing a great job. The 2 hands on the wheels. I'm going to focus on my man, Blake Byler. Blake also joining us. Make sure you follow him on the Twitter machine. You heard him on Paul Feinbaum earlier in the day. Did you tell the bald man we said what's up?
Yeah, I mean, Paul's been bullish on his Georgia takes this week, that's for sure. Oh, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people saw him on, First Take and a couple other ESPN programs where he said that, what was it exactly that he said? I think he said that
the legacy is on the line.
Yeah, he said Nick Saban's legacy is on the line. I don't agree with that. I think it's very much set in stone. But then, yeah, honestly, because I don't really think Saban still has the benefit of the doubt in my mind. He hasn't done anything for me to not pick him. And this is still an extremely talented team. So I went with that. He went back on his Georgia pick, still wanted to go with them. But yeah, it was a good time joining Paul. It's always good to talk to him.
Courageous of Paul to pick Georgia after winning 2 national championships in a row. You spent time with J.C. Latham following the big man around. What is your biggest takeaway from Alabama's new leader on the offensive line?
He's confident, if nothing else. Just the attitude that he walked around with and kind of the way that he answered his questions. He answered somebody asked JC about how he feels about expectations being a little lower for Alabama this season. I know we voted today on our predictions for the SEC media poll, predicted order of finish, and if Georgia is picked as the SEC champion by the media, it would be the first time since 2015 that Alabama wasn't the preseason SEC pick to win the title. So just the prospect of that, J.C. Latham described as being disrespectful and something that he doesn't appreciate. And it felt like, as he said it, it felt like something that he truly meant and a message that he truly wanted to get across. And then he went on to kind of explain, or I guess predict, that he thinks the team's going to go undefeated with a national championship, the whole 9 yards. He's very confident in the team's ability. And so, if you're a fan of Alabama, that's certainly something you want to see from your leaders. A leader on an offensive line that's got some new faces, but it is a very talented position group. So I think the confidence that he showed in the team as he talked was kind of my biggest takeaway from him.
And Blake, one interesting aspect of the offensive line this coming up season is Tyler Booker and J.C. Latham, high school teammates, reunited back on the Alabama offensive line. Do you think that chemistry or the high school relationship will be able to get some oomph out of both those guys? And really, there's been a lot of talk and a lot of love given to Tyler Booker.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, on the way down to Nashville yesterday, we heard Cole Kublik say that he thought Tyler Booker was the best guard in the SEC, which is very high praise, especially in a league that is normally very physical and has a lot of really good offensive linemen. I think that, JC mentioned a little bit the fact that he and Tyler played together. He said they've known each other since Booker was a freshman at IMG, and so that would have made JC a sophomore at IMG, so freshman and sophomore in high school, and now they're junior and sophomore in college. So that's 6-7 years, something like that they've known each other. He said that they really enjoy playing together. I know we don't know the true starters on the offensive line, but I wonder if Saban or Coach Wolford on the offensive line wants to put them on the same side, maybe to kind of use that chemistry to their advantage. But I'm sure he talked about how much they love playing together, and that definitely adds a little extra value to those positions in the offensive line.
And we had Austin Hannon following Dallas Turner around, so you can read Austin's coverage, staying back in Nashville to cover the final day of SEC Media Days. Big thanks to you, Austin Hannon. So Dallas claims to be the best defensive player in the SEC. He's 4 sacks, only 4 sacks last year. You gotta do more than that to get that to live up to that claim. I love the confidence, and obviously Kool-Aid backing him up. But do you think that maybe it's confidence or cockiness, Blake, that it was really on display by the Alabama players today?
I think I'm going to go with confidence, and I think it all goes back to really early in his statement. Coach Saban said that the team is hungry, and I think motivated was the other word that he used, and you really saw that throughout the day from everybody, whether it be Dallas Turner's personal confidence or J.C. Latham's confidence in the team. He talked about his own confidence too, how he wants to win the Outland Trophy for the best offensive lineman in college football this year. Or I guess the best interior lineman is what that trophy is, but I think across the board you just saw a lot of all the players kind of echoed the sentiment that Nick Saban had at the beginning, that this team is hungry, and I think they remember the losses to Tennessee and LSU. They know that another team in their conference, Georgia, one of their rivals, honestly, has won 2 straight national championships, and so there's definitely a hunger to get back to the top of the mountain, so to speak, that we have gotten used to seeing Alabama at throughout the past decade and a half.
We're riding back from SEC Media Days down I-65. We've had a lot of fun, really quick 12-hour trip to Nashville, but a lot of fun. Got a lot of good meat. We spent a lot of time with all 3 players. So look, Coach Saban's not going to say much. He's not going to give you anything on the quarterback. Obviously, he used a funny, cute analogy. It's like baking a cake and saying, okay, you got to give the cake enough time. If anybody's done any baking, you know it's very scientific. You cannot rush anything. It's easy to bake a cake if you follow the instructions. So I wonder if Coach Saban thinks, it's going to be easy to bake this cake if we just let it play out. The Texas matchup week number 2 makes me think you got to have that bad boy out of the oven by the end of the first game, cooling on the side of the pantry so that Alabama fans can enjoy some positive quarterback play. Look, Ty Simpson, Tyler Buckner, those 2 guys have gotten a lot of the buzz from Greg McElroy, and I believe Peter Burns and a couple of others have called it a 2-quarterback race. But Saban really saying it's a 3-quarterback race. It's going to be a wide open battle. I think it's foolish to discount Jalen Milroe. I think he's going to really walk into the fall camp with the first reps, and it's going to be on him and on the other quarterbacks to play better than Jalen Milroe. So we're driving back from SEC Media Days. We want to encourage you guys to follow us on BamaCentral.com. Look at us on YouTube on BamaCentral at YouTube, because
all of our coverage is sitting up right there. All the press conferences, everything that we found is right there on the YouTube page. You can follow our friends, Austin Hannon, Katie Wyndham, Blake Byler, at Writing Walsh for Chris Walsh, everybody doing things for BamaCentral and SEC Media Days. That's going to wrap it up for my program today. We're going to look around for some better guests in the rest of the week. We're going to have a great rest of the week. What are we? 45 days away from Alabama football. It's going to be here before you know it. It's going to blink your eyes. You better get your summer to-do list done right now because it's going to be here. SEC Media Days wraps up tomorrow, and we'll look and see if there's anything fun on the docket. But now that the Kings have gone, Alabama and Georgia have gone, it's basically all over until fall camp. We'll open fall camp in probably 2 weeks, last week of July, first week of August, and obviously BamaCentral will be all over all the press conferences, the practices, the quarterback movement. If Nick Saban says or sniffs the word quarterback, we'll be all over it and bringing it to you right here on BamaCentral.com. So big thanks to Chris Walsh for sending us all up here. Follow him at Writing Walsh. You can follow our show at Joe Gaither. Send us your comments, questions, queries, and complaints right there into the program, and we'll hopefully have a great rest of our week and have finish up the offseason in style as we are now 2.5 weeks away from fall camp opening and that quarterback battle really taking shape. So thanks everybody for joining us in Nashville. Thanks everybody for hanging out and watching our interviews, supporting us on social media. Go tell a friend about the program, The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral. You're watching it on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and you're listening to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. We're going to get back to Tuscaloosa safely. Katie Wyndham doing a great job. Thank you so much. Do it for our program. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll have a great rest of our week. You can follow us at BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com.